So yeah, like I said, my name is Emishua, and it's nice to have all of you here. So basically, today what we're going to be doing is just I'm going to be trying to like replicate this particular design that I posted last week. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask, whether before we start or during while we're working on it, or even after. So the floor is always open for you to ask any questions. Just probably raise your hands up on the what's it called in the raise your hands up in the audience, and I'm going to allow you to ask any question you may have. So without much ado, I think let's just get into the design itself. So typically before I start designs like this, I always like have inspiration to as to what direction. Although in the end, I most time the design eventually becomes something that person something that embodies my vision for what I'm trying to design. But ideally, I always start with a basic idea from for this particular um design. I think what the website actually got inspiration from was Clue Architect Clue Architect. Let's call. Let me see if I can find Clue Architect. Let's call. So maybe while I'm opening, you can actually see the inspiration for it. So it's a website by what's the name of that brand again? Green Chameleon. I think they're currently called Unseen Studio. So if you are familiar with multiple design agencies, you may be familiar with the name Green Chameleon or Unseen. They're currently called Unseen Studios. You can check them out. UNSEEN. It's Unseen Studios. Just check them out online or anywhere else, and you definitely find their works and be inspired by. So this is actually where I got the inspiration from. Although the idea was inspired by it's always important that even though you're always being inspired by a particular design, try to still find your own footing when you are trying to. Okay, one second, please. Oh, good heavens! Why? So even while you're trying to be inspired by a particular website, it's very important that you actually find your own thing while you are trying to at the end of the day. So that's what I actually did. I was inspired by architect.com, although it was still similar, but then I still tried to duplicate. You can actually still see a lot of differences in the final website. Let me see if I can break that thing out of it. One second, please. Architect.com. Okay, take it out. Okay. Yep. Oh boy. How do I even close this thing? Okay. Cool. Remember, use two websites. Anyways, I'm sorry. I was just trying to like split um the website into two different versions. But yeah, that's my point. My point was actually I got the inspiration from the Clue Architect website. I tried to replicate something in that line of work as well. So today I'm going to just be trying to walk us through how I was able to achieve this from Figma down to Spline. So I think I'm going to be starting with Spline because most of the work was actually done in Spline. All this 3D stuff, this 3D rotating stuff was done in Spline. But then the what do you call it? The UI interactions were done in Figma. The logo, the work, the loader, and all this text and whatever were done in Figma. So I think I'm going to be starting with Spline first, since that's the most unfamiliar territory for most people. Figma, if we have time, we can actually achieve the rest of the work instead of Figma eventually. But yeah, so if you're not familiar with Spline, Spline is a tool for the web, just like Figma. How Figma made a design to live on the web, Spline makes 3D accessible from the web. So you can just go on the web and just go on the web in a browser, just search for Spline.design, I think. Spline.design, that's their site. Spline.design. Then you can just get started using, just create an account, log in, create an account, and then you are already on your way to to creating 3D experiences. There are also stuff from the community, just like Figma. How Figma has 3D kind of multi-code community files. You can just also go on the community here as well and try to get stuff from there and try to remix them or just try to mess around and learn how the person was able to achieve whatever they achieved. So yeah, that's basically the long and short of Spline. It's a 3D tool for the web and it's accessible from any capable browser. So you don't have to say, oh, you don't have like a high-end gaming PC or anything. Just go on Spline.com. I think although it helps to have a good PC, but then any PC you have actually works just. So there's no excuse as to not being able to use the spline. So yeah, the bulk of my work actually started in started in. Sorry for the back and forth. It's just because I don't know why Google did not allow me to just let everybody enter easily. But anyways, most of my work actually started in Spline. Like I said, the 3D stuff was done, 3D rotation was done in Spline. I'm just going to walk us through how I was able to achieve this. Even the image I was changing was done in Spline. Could have done it in Figma easily. I even did it in Figma, but then the issue with doing this particular center image, it's easily achievable, and it's like this image that's changing in the middle. But the issue with having it instead of doing inside of Figma is that you can't. If you do it in Figma, you can't actually place it inside of the since the these rotating stuff are intersecting the edges of the center image. There's no way for me to actually place it in the center instead of Figma. I could do masking. I was actually doing masking at some point, but then it's too painful. And again, these things are rotating on like their path, rotation path is not fixed, so you can't really totally mask everything properly. So it was just a pain for me to do the whole masking process. So I just had to go and replicate it in Spline. It was more difficult, but then it was more efficient at the end of the day. So let's just go through Spline and see how we can actually achieve. It's actually very simple, very very simple. Go on Spline, open Spline. So if you're not familiar, this is Spline interface. Create a new file. So let's just create a new file, file, and create a new file. Sorry, 1 second. There's something I need to do. I need to make sure this person is in the meeting. 1 second, please. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. No worries. So basically, you just open a new file, create a new file inside of Spline, and you're very much on your way to get started. Please, hope you can see my screen and also hear me properly. If you can't, please just signify by raising your hands, and I will I'll see what I can do about it. So basically, the work starts in Spline, and what you want to get started with is actually creating a rectangle. By default, there's already a rectangle added. So this is where I'm going to chip it. The whole what do you call it? The whole mouse versus trackpad, trackpad argument here in this scenario in 3D environment. Trackpad actually, sorry, it's always best to use a mouse because there are some features, features that you may not be able to have if you're using just your if you're using just your. So basically, this is how the whole work starts. So ideally, you have you have a rectangle that's already added by default to the file for you. So personally, what I like doing, I think I like this background feels depressing. So first thing I do is just to click on the background, and then you can go here and change the color to FFF 6 times. FFF 6 times. Okay, move it to the top. Just okay. FF 6 times, and then what other things do I need to turn on? I don't think I need to go into technicalities about the section. The only thing I have to just do to change the backgrounds to to white. And the next thing is to start by this rectangle. This rectangle, personally, I like using, since I'm going to be like adding websites, adding web landscape websites in landscape format, or screenshots in landscape format. I'm going to have to change this image to like a landscape format. So personally, landscape for me for screens, the general sweet spot for landscape or screens is a 16:9 aspect ratio. And to achieve that, all you just need to do just to change this particular thing. Why is this thing not working? Why am I no longer seeing the what do you call that thing itself? The controls. I'm supposed to see controls, but I'm coming. Let me close the file and open it again. Take long. Yeah, I should be seeing these controls. So I can move it up, move it sideways. So if you're using your mouse, you can just what's it called? You can click on the scroll wheel, just click it down, and then you can hold command and orbit around the file. So you can also click on this points here that are back down here just to navigate to different angles of the file. But personally, I like using my mouse because the mouse scroll because the freedom to navigate anywhere I like. These ones are just constrained. They are constraints to particular spots. So that's just one thing. But okay, okay, you can familiar with that name. Okay. So yeah, I am going to just navigate around my mouse. Like I said, I want to make it like a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. You can also come here every time and press reset to reset to the original view. So in case you've messed up the what's it called, the orientation of your camera, you can just come here and press reset to orientate to that or to the original view. So I am just going to change the what do you call it, the size here. So this is the size what do you call it, parameters. I'm going to change it to 1920 in the width, yeah, and the height. I'm going to change to what do you call it, 1080. So 90, if you're familiar with aspect ratio, 1920 by 1080 is actually like a standard actually I call it like a standard aspect. Is like standard aspect is a 16 by it's on a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So 1920 by 1080. If I scale it down, I just keep scaling down proportionally. I'm going to just be getting like proportional figures. I think if I scale it down to 1440, which is the normal Figma frame, you're going to get 1440 by 810, all the way down to, if I keep scaling proportionally down to 16, it's going to be 16 by 9. So 1920 by 1080 is actually a sweet spot. You can actually scale it down, whatever you like, as long as it's on a what's it called, on a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. You could also use different proportion, but like I said, because most landscape sizes are on 16 by 9 aspect ratio, is why I prefer using what's it called this 1920 by 1080. Anyways, what next? So once you've created this particular image, you might want to add an image. So to add an image in Spline, is just to like add a material to this particular shape or this whatever element you have on. So if it's a cube, you can add a what's it called, material to anything at all you create. You can actually add a material to it. I don't know if it's anything, but I think most of the things I've worked with, you can add materials to them. So you can just come here. What's it called? You can come to this materials panel, and when you've selected the rectangle, and then click on this part and change it to image. So once you change the image, it gives you this option to select any image you want to add to it. Like usually, if you're familiar with this thing, it's a PNG, like this empty. This is the empty state. So like this, there's nothing applied to it. So you're telling to add something. So just click on it and then press upload image. So I have like a slew of already or screenshots I've already taken already. I think where are they? Desktop 2, no, desktop 1, I think. Desktop 1, downloads. Can't really tell. Sorry, 1 second. I'm trying to find that folder. Desktop, okay. Oh boy. I had like a ton of screenshots I took. I really can't find them, but I'm going to use anyone. I'm going to use anyone, but I'm trying to use a good image so we can actually get stuff. You know what? Let me just go on the website and actually take a screenshot. So ideally, since I'm trying to like build a creative website, I'll just what's it called? Go to Godly. I mentioned last week, godly.website. It's a place where you can actually find like creative stuff, people that are doing like creative websites. So you can actually find tons of creative websites there. So this is where I was able to find like lots of websites that I use the screenshots in my design. So just open any one of them that looks nice. And like I don't like there's no method to the madness. It's just anyone that just looks really good to me that I think will look good in the screenshots. I just take a screenshot of them. This thing is showing. Hide. Stop sharing. Okay, well, hide. Hope you can still see my screen. Kabir.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
We can see the screen.
Okay, so I'll take a screenshot of this one. I just take a screenshot of like a couple of websites. That's why I did that time. But for time's sake, I'm not going to spend too much time. Although I think this angle looks good. So let me take this here and use my image. Okay. So yeah, I have this one taken. So like I said, just apply the image to it. Although there's this funky black background, I'm a perfectionist, so this black background always affects me because it's the top part of the mark. But that's fine. Let's not really sweat the details then this time. But if it was me personally, I would have cropped that part out, and I would have gone to Figma, maybe crop the part, or use a cropping tool to remove that black by the top. But like I said, let's not spend too much time on that. So this is where the form begins. So once you've done that, apply this to one of the image. What you just do next, there's an option for cloner here. So just press cloner. So once you press cloner, it just gives you like a bunch of duplicates of this particular, stemming from this star, originate from this particular one. So what you want to do next is to change it at this bottom. Once you've selected cloner, like there'll be a ton of options at the bottom of it, new options. So you can change it from linear. It's by default it's on linear, so you can change from linear to radial. So you can see that we start to see like a pattern to the whole thing. So me too, I'm not too familiar, so we're going to like just mess around a bit. But I know that one thing I want to do is to increase the count, because I want to like be able to add tons of websites. Or no, let's not do the count yet. I think where we'll do the count to be obvious there. So at the start, so once you've turned on the radial, change it from linear, it's by default on linear, change it to radial, the type. Yeah, the type here, change to radial. And then the next thing you want to do is to change the alignment. Okay, not the alignment. Okay, from the axis, go to the axis and change to like Y, X, rather, X. Let me rotate to make sure. So you can see that it's actually what's it called? Aligned to the bottom of, aligned on the x-axis. I don't really know what to use simply. I don't really know what simple terms to use, but let's just use the technical terms. It's aligned on the x-axis, so they are at the bottom. So what I'm going to do now currently, because since these three are looking really, really small, so what I'm going to do is just increase the count of these of the duplicates, of the clones rather. So the count here is on 3 by default, so you can just stretch it up to whatever I want to stretch it up to. So you can see that it starts to resemble what we had, what I created on my design. So like this, we'll be able to recreate that. So whatever count you want to put, you can just put. I think I put 50. On my own design, I actually used 50. Although, if you use 50, be ready to replace 50 images, change 50. So I had to change all of the 50, like change all 50 images. But you can just use like a small number. Let's just use like a small number for this one. But small number will not really look good, I guess. Let's do 30, I guess. Let's do 30. 30 is fine. So you can see that it's actually surrounding the image. Let's do reset. Let's reset the camera. Okay. It's surrounding the image. See if I were to like align. Okay, most of the time I like actually doing isometric alignment. So once I do isometric, a camera view, it shows you the image, the what's it called, view of the objects on an isometric level. So if you're familiar with the isometric plane, isometric word or something like that, I can't really explain it, but basically it just shows you like on top kind of. So you can see that it's actually surrounding that main image. So what you want to do next is to, but the issue is that they are not aligning the way I want them to align. So if the thing were turning like this, some of them will be like hidden. Those ones at the back. It's only the ones at the top that will be really showing. So that's not really the view I want to give the user. So another thing I want to do is to change the what do you call it? The alignment here. So the alignment option just click, it's currently on no. So you click to yes. Just click to yes. You can see that they like the way it's the image organized actually changes here. So this is actually what I want to see. And another thing another issue I'm having is that these ones on this side are not showing. They are not showing. So the option here, which I should have done since, is to go to under this visibility. There's a side that says sides. So currently it's just fronts that are showing. So only elements at the front will show. So in some cases, this particular option might be necessary. But in this particular case, I want both sides to show. So I'll just come to the sides and click on both. So like this, you can see both elements are, both sides are showing, and it looks like everything, all of them are surrounding this particular point. So I think here it starts to show why I need to increase the count, because it's not looking as alive as I want it to look. So I may want to increase the count to like, let's say the 50, like I said I used. So I think this looks more interesting. I could also play around with a couple of options. Okay, a couple of other options that are on the cloner section, which are position. I think position. Yeah, position. You can move it away, but that one's not really important. Axis X. No. Scale, start, and the radius. Yeah, the radius. So how what's it called? How big you want the radius inside of the middle to be? So you may want to. It's currently on like a big number. I don't really know. 3,840. So you may want to increase it or reduce it. So if you reduce it, it may give you this like this font thing. So I think I'm even trying to like do something with this particular shape, this particular form factor, because it looks interesting and I just want to do something with it. But then you want it for this particular design. I want it to be like to be spacious enough. So let's just do something like 4,000. So depending on the size, the size of an image, actually you may choose to go on that route in here. So like it's not necessary that you actually use the figures I'm using in here. So that's just one thing I need to clarify. So let's just 4,000. I think it looks fine. I mean to zoom out every now and then just to get a proper view of everything, but that's fine as well. So that once this particular thing is done, particular phase is done, what you want to do next is to, because currently you can only edit this image. You can't edit any of these clones because they are still tied to this parent clone here. So you even on the layer section, you won't see there are like 50 elements. It's just one element you're seeing, that which is this particular rectangle, which all these clones are being generated from. So if I move this clone around, all of them are going to be moving. They're going to be moved around as well. So that is not what I want. I want all of them to be independent elements of their own, so I can actually go in and change the images as I please. So what you want to do is to come to the clone section and then convert to instances. At the bottom, that very, very bottom of the cloner, what's it called, menu, there's a convert to instances section. So just press it, and then all the images will be converted to their own instances. And then you can see that they are now a layer on their own. I can move them around, and they are independent elements. I can go there one, and I just change all the images. So this is how I was able to go in and change all the images, all of them, all the images, all the image, whatever, all of the surrounding images. So yeah, once we have this rectangle clone set up, we want to go in and maybe this one, I don't think we want to turn it off. What we want to do is to, can delete it actually, can delete it, but I don't think I want to delete it. I want to still use it as that center image. What I want to do here is to scale it up. So I may just go into because I don't want to like, because this is a 3D space, I don't really want to mess things up. So I may just want to just go into the, what do you call it, into this section here. So section here and change and manually enter the numbers for it. So I can just do times two for the size, for the width. Jesus Christ. Whoa. Nope. That's not going to work. Okay. So I think I need to detach. Do I need to detach this? I need to create Control C, Control D. Sorry, no, Control V. Move it out. I want to create an independent rectangle as well, but then I'm just going to copy this rectangle inside of which is inside of the mother one, and paste outside because I don't want it to be attached to anything. Because if I were to mess this one up, now you saw what I did when I tampered with this one, all the other ones outside were started getting messed up. So that's not actually what I want. What I want to do is to turn off that one that's in the middle, and then like remove one of the rectangle, like create a duplicate this one, then remove it from inside of this what do you call it, inside of this components group. This is a component, so put it outside, so it's independent. Just delete this one. I can delete the main component. So currently, if I edit this one, other things will not be tampered. All those other ones will not be tampered. So I can just scale this one up just to like have more prominence inside of the image. 1 second, please. Let's put some money. Okay. So I can just scale this one up, like no particular size, just to a point when it looks really good and it looks really prominent and calls attention to itself. So scale it up, and the settings in the position size, I think it's on 0. Everything's on 0, so it's just fine. So it's just for you. It's just for you to just find an angle that works really good. I think the issue I'm having currently is that it's going to the bottom. So I actually want to have the same base as this other one. So I'm just going to reset the camera, zoom out. I'm zooming out because the image is actually really big. They are really, really big. So I'm zooming out just to have a good perspective with it, and then move it up just to have the same base. It doesn't need to be perfect. That's the thing about it. It doesn't need to be aligned perfect. As long as it looks good to the eye, that's it's fine. But me, I'm a professional, so most times I always want to make everything line up because Figma supports me so much. But anyways, that's by the wayside. So another thing I want to do is that I realize that perspective view. So currently, the camera view is on orthographic. I can't really define it, but I just know that I prefer perspective. Perspective actually has like what's it called? Adds a certain perspective to the view of things. So let me see if I can get an example. Isometric perspective. So I don't know if I can you can see, but then like perspective just has a certain elements that are the foreground look bigger than the ones that are at the back. And so that's one thing about perspective I actually like in using. Also, in some cases, orthography might actually be fine, but orthographic, everything looks the same, everything looks equal in size. But other in perspective, change the perspective just makes everything look. Some things that are closer to the camera look bigger, and things that are farther away look smaller. So I'm going to change to perspective, but then it's really as you please. Whatever you desire, whatever works for you, you can just leave it like that. So I think I've set up the base, the base for our design. I'm moving my camera out now, so I'm just going to put my camera out, and then I want this thing to rotate around this central point. So I'm going to do that in a moment. So let me let this person in. So I want this what you call it, this person to rotate, these things to rotate around the central point. So what I'm going to do now is just to come to states here. So click on the rectangle clone. That's the group that's containing all these duplicate rectangles. And you're going to press states, add a new state to it, just like Figma. And I add what's called hover state. Okay, does Figma do that? I don't know, but then XD back in the day used to do, even still till today, XD does is a hover state, active state thing. So create a new state. So this is the base state. The base state is just by default. Then the active state, the state here, let's just call it anything. We can call it state. Then just leave it as state, just not to confuse anyone. But or state, rotated state. Let me call it rotated state. Rotated state. Yeah, rotated state. So what I'm going to do now is just to in the rotation here, I'm just going to let me see. I can't really remember which one is going to make the effect. So I'm going to tamper with the Y rotation first. Sorry, the X axis rotation first and see how it rotates. So you can see the X axis rotation rotates like this. That's one the kind of rotation I want. I want like to rotate around on the floor. So I'm going to tamper with the Y rotation as well. Yeah, so you can see this is actually what I'm looking for. So you can also see the Z as well and see what it does. So in case you are trying to just be more creative, you can just mess around with these figures and whatnot. So for the X rotation and for the Y rotation, I'm going to first of all move it to the left, so to the right. Yes, to the left, to the right rather. Yeah, and see what it does. So it rotates like this. So depending on the kind of rotation you want, direction you want, you may just want to adjust it. So I think I am okay with it. The way it moves, like clockwise. And so I'm just going to set rotation to 360. So 360 is a full rotation. 360 rotation. So I'm just going to set the rotation to 360. So with that done, you're not going to see any change because actually what it means that the thing rotates to that old position where it was. So you're not going to really see any change happen. Unlike if I were to rotate to, let's say 90, let's do 90. You're going to see a change. You saw these images, they moved to some extent. But 360, you won't really see anything. Let me do 0 and then 360 now. You're not really going to see anything happen because you actually just like went through full circle and came to the same point. So you're not going to see anything happen. So with that done, I'm going to now add an event. I'm going to switch to base state and then add an event. So in this event tab is to define what happens when what happens to stuff here in the that you've added to your design. So I will be with the rectangle clone still selected. I'm going to add an action. So at the start, I want you to ideally you can hear if you're familiar with Figma, you will also be familiar with all this stuff. So I want this particular rotation to happen at the start of once I just play the prototype. I want it to just happen at the start. So that's why I set to start by default. So if you want it wants to happen on mouse up, mouse over, all this other stuff, you can just mess around with it and do what you want. So there's also conditional logic as well. This one is for if you're trying to build games and stuff. So yeah, that's it. So start is fine by me. I'm going to add the actions as rotate and transition rather. And then on these transition parameters, target, you can see target set to rectangle clones. And then from the transitions, I'm going to set it from base state, set 1 transition from base state to rotated state. So that's fine by me. And then the easing, I'm going to set, or transition, I'm going to set it to linear because I don't want it to actually rotate too fast or too slow. I want to rotate at a linear speed. So I'm going to set the number, the duration to let's do 10. I don't really remember which one I used, but we'll just try 10 first and see how it works. 10 seconds. first and see how it works. So delay. I don't think I want any delay. So the last thing I want to do is to make it loop infinitely, because I don't want it to rotate a full cycle once and then stop. I want it to keep rotating, rotating, rotating. So just set it to infinite, and that's all. You don't need to tamper with anything. So if you want to really understand this stuff, you can actually go. You can start using Spline a lot to learn about all this other stuff. What to do when you need to do, which one to use when you want to achieve a particular effect. So, but for this one, I'm just going to tamper with state and the loop, change to infinite, and that's the end. So we can play now. So we can see we already have this whole thing set up. So ideally, the way Spline works, you can actually still pan your camera around and see how it's working. So you can see it's just permanently rotating. So if I were to leave it, just keep rotating like this for always and always and always and always, it's never going to stop. So yeah, that's basically it. So another thing you want to do as well is that for me, for this prototype, I don't want to be able to tamper with it. I don't want to be able to tamper with what I'm playing, because you can see that when I'm actually moving my mouse around, I can move it around and everything, mess it up. I can mess with the camera up. So personally, I don't really like doing that sometimes, except I want to be an interactive prototype. That's when I can actually go ahead and do something with the mouse over. But I don't want to be able to mess around with it, or anybody that wants to use it to mess around. So even if I want to integrate this into Figma as well, and I turn those mouse whatever on, I could just the user could easily mess the stuff up. So I don't want that. So I'm just going to click on this export. It's funny they actually have the thing here, because I don't think that's what it's supposed to be, but no problem. So export. I'm going to go to play settings, and then I'm just going to turn off all this stuff, orbits. I don't want the mouse to be able to orbit. I don't want the mouse to be able to pan. I don't want the mouse to be able to zoom or soft orbit or anything. So depends on you, Sha. Depends on you what you want. Like I said, depends on what you. But for this particular tutorial, I'm just going to leave it as these off. No, and that's basically all. So like this now, you can see I can no longer, even I'm pressing the mouse, I can no longer tamper with the view of it. So whatever view you have set on this mode, in this mode, for example, let's leave it like this and play. You can see that it's there, so I cannot move it. So ideally, you want to be able to you want to properly set up your view here and have it just look really, really good as best as you can. 1 second. So you want to set up your view properly here. Just move your camera around. Don't move this stuff. Just to move your camera. Just click on your mouse, the mouse scroll wheel. Click and hold the command or control, and just drag. You can mess around with the view. So yeah, I think that's one thing I want to achieve. I could also, I think for mine, I kind of tilted the stuff. I moved it up. Let me move it up. Okay. Isometric, first of all. Isometric. I did isometric, and also I rotated this particular central image. So central image, I rotated it to face the camera. Face the camera. Moved it forward a bit. And also rotated it, like I said, in 3D, it's what looks good to the eye, not what really is perfect. So rotated it somehow to kind of face the camera, face the user. And then I went back to isometric view, go back to isometric. You can see that it's facing the user itself, the person that's viewing this thing. And I can also move it back just to, I don't know, just because it looks good. I want to look good to my eye. So yeah, I think like this, it's okay. I could also scale it up a bit just to make it more prominent, but then I also don't want to touch this stuff. Move it back a bit. Okay, cool. So what else do I need to do with this thing? Because it doesn't really look as interesting as I want it to look. So another thing I want to do, I think these images, I want to rotate them sort of way, yeah, like this. I think that's what I did. So rotate them 5 degrees. So ideally, since this stuff I've already like added states to them, I've added states to this particular rectangle, this clone group, these clones. I've added states to them. Anything I'm making on one state, I need to go and make on the other state as well. If not, you may actually have like one key interaction. So ideally, I've already made change on the base state of this rectangle clones. So now I want to also make the change on the rotated state. So I think I want to look for the change I made. I rotated the x-axis by -5 to -5 degrees. So I'm just going to go to rotated state and enter the same value, -5, just to make sure it matches up. So you can unplay and then see how it rotates. So you could also still mess around, think around with it, just to perfection's sake, and also still maybe rotate it again just to have a more interesting angle. More interesting angle. Christ. Reset, isometric, zoom out. So just to have a more interesting angle as well. So I think you check rotation -10, -15. I'm going to go to rotate state, change to -15 as well. The x-axis -15. So yeah, that's basically all for this one. So the issue now is to export. This is where what's it called, exporting to Figma comes in. So like I said, you could actually go around and tweak stuff as much as you want, tweak stuff as much as you want. For example, I think I could mess around with this thing, make it -10 instead of -15 instead, because -15 is too much, it's blocking the image too much. So -10. This is the last one, I promise. This is going to be the last one, I promise. But yeah, -10 works, and I think it looks good. Okay, at least okay for this tutorial. And then what you want to do is to actually export as a. So this is where the challenge is. Before, when I want to export from Spline, I just use like inbuilt Spline exporter. I could actually export stuff like really good. Maybe I want to export as image now. Sorry, as a GIF or as a video. I could just set it to MP4 or GIF or whatever. So I think the best way is set as video. But Figma, the problem with Figma is that except you actually have what do you call it? Have a pro account, you can't add videos to your prototypes. So what's the best way I go, and because I use a free account, I use export as GIF. However, I don't export with I don't export from Spline. I actually screen record and then convert to GIF. But for the sake of this tutorial, let's just try what's it called, Spline's inbuilt exporter, because I don't want to use any software that anyone does not have. And so Spline, let's do MP4 frame 30 FPS. That's fine. Ratio. These stuff. Personally, I'm not really familiar with all of them, so I just go with the default one like that and just press start. So another thing I forgot to mention, which I do. You don't have to do it, but which I do, my own take, and just to have a confined area, is that I define the what do you call it? I define the camera. So ideally, if you're playing this video, you can see that everywhere is just white. So if you're screen recording, Spline will actually screen record every of this white space, and I don't really need all this extra space in my design person. I just want to focus on this confined area around this particular thing. And again, I want it to be within a confined aspect ratio as well. So you can also set that in your design. You can just come to this personal camera. Not personal camera either. You can come to size. This under the frame. On that frame. So currently it's set to responsive, means that everywhere is just showing whatever screen size you're using, it covers that full screen size. So you can now set it to you can click on it and then change from responsive to whatever you want. So if you want it as a square, you can set it as a 1080 by 1080 or whatever size you want. For me personally, like I said, I have a bias for using 1920 by 1080. It doesn't have to be 1920 by 1080, but as long as it's on a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So even a 1440 by 810 is still on a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So ideally, what do you call it? I just go for this one, full HD. So once I do that, you can see that it actually defines the viewing space, the viewing area for this particular entire prototype. So once I play, you can see it's just this particular area. So you want to properly align your image instead of this confined area and play it and see, okay, what looks good, or how do you want it to look once you place it into the website. So ideally, I also go for 1920 by 1080s because 1920 by 1080, like I said, I'm designing for desktop. So the sweet spot is that 16 by 9 aspect ratio for desktops. The sweet spot is actually that 16 by 9 aspect ratio. But like I said, depending on you could actually use any size you want. But me, like I prefer 16 by 9 aspect ratio for my designs. So I'm just going to properly zoom in to make it well aligned to the size I want. So zoom in like this. You could also enter the zooming value, but it's not always accurate. Let's do 140. 140. Let's do 130. Yep, 120. I think 120 is easy. 130 is fine. No. 120. Sorry, this is actually go back and forth when I'm actually working. I go back and forth just to make sure that what I'm doing, meets up to my expectation. So you can also move the thing around. Like I said, move the camera, pan around. Don't click and drag. If not, you'll be messing up your stuff. So just going to move it properly and properly leave it in the design. So ideally, you can start going in to change all your stuff. You can start going to change all the images one by one. Go in and change the image one by one. So am I doing this thing correctly? Am I doing this thing correctly? Yeah, you can go in. So click on the rectangle itself. Click on the rectangle itself, and then press on the image section. So don't select the clone. If you select the clone, it's not going to like really make any change. So I think I can even ungroup all of them. I can detach all of them because I don't really think I need them for anything. I can detach all of them, but then let's not go down. So it's not really confusing. So select the rectangle itself. Make sure you're not selecting the clone. Select the rectangle because the clones actually are nesting the rectangle inside of them. So select the rectangle, any rectangle you want. You can just I think you can just do hold Control and click it to select the rectangle for you, and then you can go into the image material and then change it into whatever you want. So let me use another image here. So you can see I've changed this one. So that's how when I want to change, that's how I change for all 50 all 50 of them. Unfortunately, there's no faster way to do it. I didn't find any faster way to do it. If I did, I think there's a faster way to do it actually. There's a faster way to do it, but then let's not really dwell on it. At first, when you're trying to like do anything for the first time, what you're trying to do is not what you're trying to like achieve is not the most efficient way. It's always just the way that gets you there. Don't bother about efficiency. Just try to do it anyhow you can do. Just try to achieve your results any way you can achieve whatever means necessary. In the end, once you actually start getting familiar with it, that's when you start learning about efficiency, how to do things more efficiently. So for now, I'm not really going to bother about efficiency. Just go in and just change all the images as much as you want and to your heart's content. So that's how I did it for all of the images. And then you can now go in. So I think another easy way I even did itself was that I was not clicking the rectangles. I didn't click the rectangles. I just selected the clones. And there was an option here for me to change images, but I can't really find it now. But anyways, just go the hard way. Yeah. For the first time, go the hard way. Go inside, click all of them, click all of them one by one, just change the image properties, select another image, and that's how you get something that looks interesting. So yeah, let's just pick the image there. So I think I've changed it, but it's this one. So you can just play and see how it works, just to be very sure. Although I've messed up the stuff, so I can just press to properly center it, and that's so this one, how to make it change. That was tricky. That was quite tricky actually, but like I said, efficiency is not the best way. It's just get it done by any means necessary. That's what matters for the first time. So for this, what I did was I added like a bunch of what's it called. You can actually add images on top of like multiple materials on top of one. So I did what's it called, another image material to this. Let me go in and select another image. Okay, then I added another one again, like multiple. I just added like, and however, what's the word? Just add enough as you please, because I want them to. So ideally, the goal is actually to have it be like whenever the user hovers over any of this image, this center one changes to that particular image. And this thing, in fact, when the user hovers over this particular card, it pauses. I think I can actually do that, but then I did not really have that time to really properly do that prototype. So once you hover over any of these cards, and this carousel, or whatever it's called, this Ferris wheel, it pauses, and then you can actually go around and select whatever, and then changes this particular one in the center, changes to that particular one. But then I did not have that time and luxury to start creating that kind of complex prototype, because it's going to actually be really complex to set up. So what I just did was that, I want to give you an idea that this stuff is going to be changing. Yeah, this I'm going to give you an idea that whatever I'm selecting is going to be showing up here. So which is why I made this what do you call it, this slideshow in the middle. Just made it to be changing. So that's what I want to actually replicate now. There's no easy way to do it, but we're going to go the hard way. So let me select an image. Kabi, I think your mic is unmuted. So you want to. So yep. So that's why is this image looking wonky? So yeah, that's basically it. So I think I had a GIF, but I tried adding a GIF because I made a GIF. I wanted to add in the middle, but a GIF did not work for whatever reason. I tried and tried. It did not work, no matter how I tried. So I'm not even going to go down now and experimenting on this call. So let's just quickly see how we can actually create a slideshow. Okay, how we can create a slide show here for in this center panel. So I have 3 images stacked on top of each other, like this, like this, like this. Why is this one looking wonky? Let me use an image just to have more difference. Yep, yeah. So this one looks pretty distinct for the one at the bottom. So I have 3 images stacked with each other. I could just keep stacking it up until whatever number. I think we might add like 10 or 12 or so. So for this one, let's just do 3, and then you can use the knowledge to improve on future versions of it. So have 3 images stacked up. So I'm going to create, like I said, states. If you're familiar with Figma and creating component state and whatnot, it's just the same knowledge that I brought into this particular design as well. So I'm just going to add a state. So I have 3 states. So it's going to be base image. I need to think what. So base image. So I have 3 images. So I'm just going to create like 3 states. Let's just do 3 states first and then see how it goes. So for the base states, I think I want this one to show. I want this custom image to show. Then for the state 1, let's call it state 1, just to be very sure. State 1. So for state 1, I'll just come here. I'll click on state 1, like while I'm still selecting the center image, and then go and reduce the opacity of any of the images I want to reduce. And so I'll just reduce the opacity of the one that, because ideally it's the one at the top that's showing. So I'll just down to 0. And then I'm going to go to what they call it, state 2. And in state 2, so you can see in base state, you can see that the base state has image, and then state 1 has this image. So ideally, I don't think I want I want to create state by state. I want to create all the states at once. So once I've created state 1, I am going to add a new state, and then in state 2, I'm going to turn down the opacity of this other to 0. Turn the opacity of the second image to 0, and that's basically the hack. Sorry, Precious, your mic seems to be on. Just could you make it with your mic? Thank you very much. So I want to have it like this. Stage 1 is this image, this stage, and whatever. So now the challenge comes to make it switch between all of them. So ideally, I'm going to set transition. I think I've actually forgotten how to do this thing, but either way, I'm going to find a way on this call. So transition, and so transition, I want you to transition from base states. So ideally, I used to read it like when I'm trying to do, I read it like a book, so that it makes sense to me. I say it out loud to myself when I'm trying to do it. So from base states, so depending on the interaction you want, I want to move from base states in a linear motion. So I want to move from base states to state 1 in a linear motion. That's how I read it out to myself. And the delay, do I want a delay? I genuinely have forgotten this one. Delay. Let me check. I need to go and back and actually refer to this for this particular one because it was really tricky. It was so bad that I had to reach out to the founder of Spline and ask him to, there was a shorter way I could actually do this because it was really, there was no easy way around it. And the methods I thought of in Figma that were working in Figma, they don't work here. So I think maybe because the product's still evolving, they need to still work on stuff, a couple of stuff. So events, the events. So there was a delay from state 1 from start. Oh boy. So base state to state 1 in linear motion. No delay. No delay. So I'm reading that myself like I would. So I'm going to apply the same thing here. So I've add an event that moves from base state to state 1 with 0 delay. Sorry, 0 duration to the changing. And also, what else? Okay, I think I actually changed the duration. I changed duration. Sorry, I need to consult my old design. So I think I tampered with duration. Delay. So I just wanted to delay on one screen, and then I want to be infinite. I think I get the logic now. So select it. So I go back to the event, select the event, and set it up like this. So the duration, no duration. So the delay, I think delay is where I actually added 1, and delay repeats. Nope, there's nothing I added there. So infinite. So all these things, like I don't have like a silver bullet for it. And it's actually experimentation that actually discovers this method. Like I said, for the first time, as efficiency does not count. Don't focus on efficiency. Just try to focus on trying to get your desired results at first. Eventually, you start to what's it called, do the whole efficiency stuff, and that's basically how it works. So I think that's that for that one. Let me try it out to see if it works. Yeah, so it works. So that same knowledge is what I'm going to apply to all of them. So ideally, I could just duplicate this one. There's a copy all events. There's a copy, and then there's a paste. Just press paste. So in this second one, I'm going to click on it, and then from base state, move from state 1 to state 2. But the trick here is to, for some reason, you have to add the delay of that one to this one as well, so that this one delays 1 second more than you have to add the delay of this one to the delay of the old one before it's able to progress symmetrically or progress arithmetically. I don't really know which one is which, but yeah. So 2, that's how it's going to be. So the more you create states, the more you keep adding the previous delay to the new delay to the new delay. So let's do it one more time. So to move from this one, moves from state 1 to state 2. Is there state 3? So there's no state 3. I think that's it. So the problem I also realized was that there was no way for me to switch back to this state. No matter how hard I try. So I think that's really where Spline actually has me cornered. I can't really switch. No matter how hard I tried, I could not, for the love of me, get it to switch back from the last state. So yeah, let's see how it works. So these are the typical states. Let's just give it a moment to get the last state. So if you get the last state, it doesn't switch back to the first state. Yeah, so I can't get it. No matter how hard I try, I could not go back to that person just to have it on a loop. So there's nothing I could do about it. So I am going to leave you there. I'm going to leave you stranded there. So maybe once anyone finds a solution, you can always reach out to me and we can actually learn together, because I'm actually learning Spline too. I'm not good at Spline at all. This is my first time doing this kind of thing. Last time was my first time doing this kind of thing. So yeah. So you can see that it just switches. So the more you add images and just keep adding, you applying this logic of adding states to adding the delay of the states, of the current one to the delays that come before it. So the next one is going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, just like that. The more you keep adding images like that. So that's just basically how it's going to progress moving forward, and it's just going to keep switching. So you can go ahead to mess with it with this particular knowledge you currently have about it. So let's just move on to exporting. So like I said, Spline already has inbuilt exporters, but for some reason, if I try to export, just see what happens. I don't know if you can see it, but if I try to export, basically what you just do is just to press view. So I'm going to first of all center this thing properly, so it looks good. So nope, that doesn't look good to me. So I'm going to center it, and also 460, make it 480, I guess. Nope, that doesn't work. Like I said, that number it's not always trustworthy. So sometimes you just use your mouse to zoom in by yourself and then properly center it. On that transitions, it will be, yeah, I think it makes sense, but is it possible to click the plus sign and add more transitions? You can explore that. You can explore that option yourself, because currently I really don't have the luxury to actually try it now. Well, since it's like a tutorial, I don't have that time and luxury. But definitely, I'll try it out at the after this call and see if it works, and then I'll reach out to you. You can also try it out yourself, and if it works, reach out to me as well, and let me know a more superior way to do it. So I'll also move this image upwards a bit to give it more viewing area, so you can see before it was being blocked by this stuff. So I just want to move it to the side as well. Like I said, it doesn't be perfect. As long as it looks good to the eye in 3D, that's perfectly okay. So in export, before I keep losing track again, so export, I am going to set it MP4. So you can set it to GIF, but then GIF is typically really slow to export. So most times I convert it I export as MP4, and then I go outside of Spline. I have this other software I used to convert to high resolution GIFs. I will show it in a moment. So you can just press start. So once you press start, it will show you this thing. So you cannot press what do you call it? This record button to get to start. So I don't know if you can see, but there's this stutter. It's starting to stutter. It's not moving as smoothly as it was before. So for some reason, I don't know, currently Spline just happens to stutter when I'm trying to like export. But for most people, I don't think it actually works. I think it works smoothly. For everyone else, I think it will work smoothly. So you can actually use one. Or typically, I get this question with us, what do I use to record? So it's going to just take a while to process. Just give it a moment. So typically, most times, every time, so not almost all the time, I use inbuilt Mac recorder. So when I was in Windows, I used to use like inbuilt Windows recorder. And then when I finish recording, the problem is that if you record with an inbuilt recorder, most times the size is always really, really like large. So for Windows, I used to trim it. Once you just trim like some seconds on the video, the size drastically drops. Like for some reason, I don't really know why they did like that. So once you just trim some seconds on the video with Windows photos, yes, the size drastically drops. So I used to use that thing a lot back then. But for Mac, you have to first of all record, trim, and then once you finish trimming, then you take it into iMovie. I take it into iMovie personally, and then I export as a lower resolution just to make the size drop, because size is really the problem. I think I currently have this one, OBS Studio. OBS Studio is actually a great one, but it's just really technical. It's more technical than these other ones to set up. So if you have the stomach for that, you can go ahead and try it. OBS Studio, that's the name. OBS Studio. So I'm going to save the image as a let's just call it rotation. Let me save it to desktop so I can easily find it, because I download this shortcut. So yeah, saves to desktop. So I'm just going to like preview it now and see how it works. So rotation, this is it. Play. And for some reason, you can see that even in this final version, it's actually moving too fast. It's moving faster than I made it moving inside of Spline. So for my Spline in particular, it has like many problems that I cannot start thinking how to solve them. So I just simply use what's it called, Mac Windows recorder. But then I don't really think I want to go that route now, because it's going to take a lot of, I don't think you might even see how it works self. But for posterity's sake, let me just still go through that route. Just to go to the route of using Mac recorder. I don't know if it will show my screen I'm sharing, but let's see. Windows Command Shift 5. Yep. So Command Shift 5, and then you crop it to, okay. Crop it to, let me cancel first. Press play, and then Command Shift 5, and then I'll just drag the edges to align with the. I don't know if you can see this part of the. I don't know if it's sharing this part of the whatever I'm doing, but I'll just try to align the lines of this whatever to be perfect. Okay. You know, the perfection ruin the stuff. So I've aligned it properly, and I'll just press what's it called, record. So ideally, I want to start from scratch. So it's already recording currently, but you won't see it. Mac, there's this funny thing it does when it's recording. It doesn't show you that it's recording. So I can just go back and press play again, so you can start from the scratch, from the beginning. Press play and see it work. So that's basically all I want to do for this particular thing. So once that's finished recording, I can, once I've recorded to my heart content, press Command Shift 5 again, and the recorder will come back, and then you can press stop. So I can now click on the recorded file and just crop it to my heart content. I'll crop up those parts that were useless. So exactly where it starts from, where it plays from, is what I'm going to keep. Yep. So this spot here. So I'll just end at where, let's just end at a random point in time. Let's just end at 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Okay. Anyone, Jerry? Press done. Yes, it end anyway. So press done once you're done, and that's basically. So this is the final version of it. So the downside of using Mac, your inbuilt screen recorder, is that the sizes are always really large. So if I check now, what size of this one getting for? Size of this one is like 66 MB. Yeah, 66 MB. That's not what I want. I can't post this kind of work now just for a 5-second clip or something like that. It's 66 MB. So most times I have to take it into iMovie and then convert it and scale it down just to be able to post online. Then let's take the one for Spline. Spline, you can see that the one for it is 112 MB. Wow, that's even worse. That's even worse. But either way, you just mess around with the settings, and you'll be able to find Spline actually exports in really good and friendly quality. Mess around with the size ratio. I think maybe ratio was because it was too high, and the megabit per second most I leave at 30 or something like that. So just mess around with it until you find something that works for you. So basically, whenever you have any of these files, whenever any of these copies, like I said, if you are lucky to have been blessed with Figma Pro Plan, you can just take this video and insert it into your Figma design and it will work out of the box. But then if you don't have, if you are using free plan like me, what's it called? I typically have to like convert this thing to a GIF or GIF first before I'm able to like use it to use it in Figma. So ideally, I have this software, Gifski. The name is Gifski. It actually works like really good. I'm surprised that it was actually free on the App Store. So Gifski, GIF, so Gifski. Oh wow, time has gone. Time was really gone. I don't think we can actually do the Figma design today, but at least this part we've actually been able to do. I think it's going to be enough for now. We're going to have maybe the Figma design aspect of it from that time, the layouts design. But currently, what I'm just to how to integrate into Figma. So you're going to just drag any of them. Let me drag this screen recording because it's smaller and also it's more. You can see. Let me play it. So you can see it plays smoother. It plays like really smooth. Unlike that, what's it called? Let's compare with this one. Let's compare with this one side by side. This is the one from Spline. You can see how it's running, and it's just not as smooth as this other one that I recorded with my inbuilt screen recorder. So sometimes Spline's screen recorder may not favor you, but try it out first before you go ahead and use your inbuilt screen recorder. So that's it. So once you've done that, for those on Windows, I'm really sorry, like I really don't have an alternative for this. There's a alternative, but it's on Adobe After Effects. It's called GIF-Gun. I used to use it back then when I was using Windows, GIF-Gun. So you guys need to convert your stuff to GIFs. But the problem is that sometimes it's not really high quality and like it's just a thing. But Gifski works like really fine. Although the sizes are really big sometimes, but it works fine. So on Gifski, once I've added the image, I can just trim. I can trim the. Sorry, I added the video. I can trim the duration. I can increase the FPS. So FPS. So the more you reduce, the lesser the size. You can also see the size here. So currently, if I were to export like this, it's going to be 240 MB. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. So first of all, the first thing I do is to scale it down to 1920. Just write the width here and the width here. Just write 1920. Yep. So 1920, like I said, since I recorded on a on the 16 by 9 ratio. When I just enter 1920, you can see that the height automatically shrinks down to approximately 1080. So 1920 by 1080. So that's how it works. So if I were to export like this, the size will be 159 MB. Still doesn't work. Quality, drop it down to the barest minimum. 44 MB, still too big. So this is just how you mess around until you find something that works. So I think I'm going to increase the quality. I'm just doing this just to actually have something good at the end of the day. 80%, let's do 50% of the original quality. And it looks 41 MB. FPS, let's drop it down to 15. I think 15 still looks okay. So I just want it to just be a comfortable size because Figma actually handles big GIFs fine, but like I don't want it to be too big. So I can just mess around with this stuff. So yep, let's just do this one. I think it's fine like this. Whatever result we get, we'll manage it like that. So convert. It doesn't take too much time. So we can just open Figma and actually impute it into our design session. So I've already prepared the file. I'm just going to change the background to E4. Yep, add a frame. Like I said, I like using 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So I'm going to either create 1920 by 1080, but in Figma I prefer to go with the 1440. So 1440 is the default width, and then for the height, constrain it down to 810. So like this now, if I had to shrink it down to 16, I keep hammering on this thing every single time. But yeah, if I had to shrink the height down, shrink it down to like 16. You can see that it's actually 16 by 9, which was the original origin of this particular 1440 by 1080. So that's just basically something I just thought I should mention by the way, Simon. Sorry, I thought I should mention. So yeah, that's how it goes. So I think Gifski has finished the work. Just press save as. Just call it what's it called? GIF. I don't really name all these things properly. So anything. So name it as GIF. This is the GIF.gif. So we can now add to our Figma design. And so how do you add? You just ideally I like to create a constraining frame first. Like I will inside it. So you can just inside the image, but it might be too big. Okay, let's just inside the image. So we don't have like one result. So command alternate K. So nope, that's not it. Discard. Alternate K. Desktop. So gif.gif. Boom. So that's it. So this is the GIF we just exported from our design. Although the challenge I'm having is that there's this thing showing at the bottom. It wasn't supposed to show. But then the good thing about this GIF is that it's like an image. You can crop it off. Even though you can't crop it off, you can use a frame to mask it. So let's just hold control or command and then just drag all the edges to trim it. Although I'm going to hold command and option just to make it shrink, like trim from both sides. So that's just basically just trim this more dirty part out of it. And that's basically everything. So personally, I like to still like visually like centralize because like this is not visually centralized. So sometimes I use like add a line, add division lines to my design, just to eyeball. No, I don't use division lines. I create a rectangle. Let's use a rectangle. Okay, and then I centralize it because I like everything being like properly aligned and stuff. So yeah, I centralize. So you can see that the GIF itself is not really centralized. There's this part that's popping out of it. So I may just move it to the side like this just to have it more centralized and also centralize it like vertically. Yeah. And then move it down. Although vertical center does not really like give you good results, I like making it like a bit higher just to like make it stand out. So yeah, like this, you've actually done the bulk of the work. The rest part is actually the UI animation. So UI animation, I don't think I'm going to be able to go into that today because time is already far gone and I already booked this in for like what's it called, 1 hour this thing. Well, I need to extend it maybe to 1 hour 30 minutes or something. But for today, let's just do this one and then in the next session we will probably do what's it called, the UI animation. So let's just play and see how it works. Let's play and see how it works. Let's play and see how it works. It should work fine. Although it's going to take some time to load because the GIF is actually kind of big. So just give some small time to load. But in that time, okay, cool. You can see that it works. Although because I reduced the FPS, the frames per second, that's why it's looking like choppy. So if you have to increase the FPS, like something like what's it called, to something like 30, I'm not going to do it, but like it will just make it like smoother. And I think 24 is actually standard FPS for that movies are recorded in. So 24 will actually work fine. So you can see that it's working as it should work. So the good thing about a GIF is that you can mess around with it as much as you please. So one thing I did for mine as well was that let's just duplicate this thing. I'm going to shrink it down. So like sort of create like a what's it called, the way it's going to like pop into view. I'm just going to do this. So I'm going to rotate it a bit. Rotate it however you please, actually. Rotate it however you please to center and make it come from anywhere. Although center just looks more natural. So just hold alternate and then shrink from the edges and hold alternate and shift and then drag the edges down. It's going to just shrink symmetrically and lower the opacity to 0. So I drop the opacity to 0. So like this, I'm going to now link this frame with prototype to this frame, to this frame. Let's just do one click. But on my design, I think I did I think I just did I did the loading animation first, but then I can't do all of that. Like I said, I can't do the UI animation today, but maybe in the next class. So let's just do on click just to see how it works. On click, navigate to yep. Smart animate just for you to like to change naturally. So I'm going to change the milliseconds to let's say 400. And then, like I said, all these things you can actually mess around with them. I mess around with them as much as you please. So ease out, it's fine. So I'm just going to do the same to this one as well. This one is just for me to be able to like see how it works. So most times when I'm playing around with prototypes at the beginning, I always try to do on click just so I can actually do back and forth and see how it works and make some small changes if needs be. So see how it works when it's normal state. Then when it's going back. So when it's coming out, this is how it comes out. I think it's coming out too fast. So ideally, I'm going to just what's it called? Increase the this thing to like 800. I guess 800 is going to probably be too slow, but let's see. So you can see how it actually like reveals itself when it's. So I made my own mind. I will show mine in a moment. So I'm just still going to rotate it because I don't feel like the rotation like pops enough. It doesn't show enough for you to like say, oh, I can see it rotates and come into view. It doesn't really do anything. I'm going to rotate it a bit more. Yep. like that. So this is how it actually looks. This is how it looks, and this is how it's going to look. I don't think it's even rotated enough. So let me still rotate it a bit more, just so you can see the effects like very, very well. So yeah, that's how I did it. You can see how it comes into view. Although I did mine to like on I think I did it to happen after duration. So like basically this is how you start. This is how I start prototypes. I just like try to like iterate on the raw state, and then I go back and refine things and refine. That's I think anyone really does. So you can actually build your UI around this particular thing. That's what I did. I just built my UI around this particular thing, and I can't really find design. For God's sake, I can't really find design. Jesus Christ. I can't find design. I tried. I couldn't find it. But yeah, I think it's this one. I think it's this one. Let me see. This was my portfolio design. I think it's this one. So I can just play it properly and see. Like, let's see how it looks. Nope. Nope. None of these. None of these. But if I do find it, I'm going to share. But yeah, that's basically how it works. So if you have any question, I think you can actually ask now before we go ahead. So you can see how I move my workflow from Spline and then to Figma. So I did like I could even still move this workflow into Figma as well, because it's easy to just easily export your stuff from where is it? From Spline. You can easily export. Just copy this public URL, copy link. And then there's a part in Figma that you can add. You can add an embed in Figma, and then just paste this link there. Once paste link, it just works like perfectly well. You don't have to do anything, so it actually works perfectly well in Figma. So that's actually something I just thought I wanted to mention as well. So that's basically it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, because at this point in time, I think we're done. We're done with this particular one. So yeah, this is it. Yeah. So this is it. So sorry for the file, my files. This is actually typically how my files are, because I'm just iterating and just trying to like see how things work. So it moves from the loading state, down to this is the loading state. These are the screen for the loading state. They're from this what's it called? Then the reveal actual reveal. So let's just play it. Let's see how it works. So yeah, I think I should start in my files. Jesus Christ. So this is the loading state. All these things we're actually done. All these UI animation we're done in Figma. And I think the GIF has not loaded up because it's actually pretty huge. Yeah, it's pretty huge. So, or is it just because I didn't turn it on? Yeah, I think that's it. So let's see. So you can see all these UI, all this text reveal and stuff like that. These were done in Figma. So it's just I just have this GIF playing in the background, this GIF playing in the background, and that's just basically how it works. Like I said, if you have a pro plan, you can actually add the video. You don't need to do the GIF hassle. Just add a video and it works straight out of the box. So that's basically everything. If you have questions, please go ahead and ask. In the presence of none, we can just go ahead and then close this particular session today. Okay. All right then, no problem. I'll assume there are no questions. So I think we can what's it called? We can actually go ahead and try this. Go ahead and try all these things, how it works for each one of us. And if you have any challenges at all, at any point in time, feel free to reach out to me online. I will always what's it called? I will always respond to messages online or to anything challenges you may be facing. So someone also mentioned in the comments that Gifski has a Windows app, so you might want to check it out. It's free on Mac, so you might want to check that on Windows as well. So that's basically everything I have. Like I said, I'm going to be sharing this tutorial. I am recording it, so I'm going to be sharing it on them. Hopefully that guy doesn't show. That cast guy doesn't show. So yeah, I'm going to record it and post it on YouTube and share. So in case you want to go back and actually watch it over and over again to be familiar with everything I did, you can go back and watch it. So that's basically everything. And like I said, if you have any questions at any point in time, always reach out to me and I will definitely respond to you at any point in time. So that's all. Okay. Dolapo has raised their hands. Okay. Hi, Dolapo, you're welcome.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Please, this is not actually a question, but a suggestion.
Okay.
For those using Spline, and let's say, for instance, they want to export their work.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had this problem last week where I wanted to post it on Twitter, but it got to 99% and just stopped
Mm-hmm.
on my laptop.
Yeah.
So, suggestion for anyone that wants to post their work directly from Spline to Twitter on their desktop. There's this app called Handbrake. I don't know if there's a Mac version for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Handbrake, and then you can, I don't know what to call it, but it actually sets your exported video from Spline
Mm-hmm.
and makes it possible to upload anywhere on the internet, even Twitter, web Twitter, or Twitter
Mm-hmm.
web. Sorry, basically it. I'm just a suggestion for anyone that, in case you come across that problem.
So you mean you actually use it and it works for you, like Handbrake works for you to post works?
Yeah, Handbrake.
Okay. That's cool. That's very, very cool. Thank you very much, the Lock for the suggestion.
Yeah,
You
you're
want me to
welcome.
need something? So basically, what I do, like I said, I personally move my works once I finish exporting as video. I move it from move it into iMovie. Sometimes even what do you call it? InShot on my phone. I actually use InShot on my phone to actually to make some edits to myself. So most times the challenge some people actually have is in posting their works in actually
Yeah,
they come and they should post it. And so you do great work, but then you don't know how to post it, you don't know how to screen record, you don't know how to make sure it looks good and everything. So screen
yeah.
record is a lot, most of the time screen record, and then I frame and then I reduce the size and whatnot and whatnot. So that's just those are just some of the tips I have for you. So if you have challenges at any point in time, um what do you call it, in trying to export or anything, feel free to reach out to me, or you can reach out to Dolapo online. So Dolapo, you can just let them know what's it called, maybe your Twitter account, so that in case they do want to reach out to you, they can
Okay, I'll
drop it in the chat.
send it. I'll drop it in chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you very much for coming up.
You're welcome.
So, Ore, my channel is my name, Emisho Victor. So that's actually my name. So please, for anyone wants to reach out to me, please, my name is actually Emisho. It's not a nickname or anything. That's my real name. So Emisho Victor on YouTube, you're going to find it. I did not post any video yet. I just opened the channel today. So I'm going to be uploading all these tutorials there. So in case you need to find them, a recap on them. So that's all. Any other questions before we close out this meeting? Okay. All right, then. In the presence of none, I assume we're done and we can call it quits. Thank you all for coming. I really, really appreciate your your presence here. It means a lot to me. And I hope we get to what's it called, do this again next week and also improve on the work we've done. So because actually a learning opportunity for me as well, it helps me like improve on my use of these tools and everything. So I appreciate you guys coming here, and I appreciate that I've been able to share the little I know with all of you. And again, like I said, if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out to me online. If you have any challenge with this particular using these tools or anything, reach out to me and I'll definitely help out as best I can. So that's going to be all for today. Thank you for coming once again, and I hope to see you next week. Take care and have a wonderful weekend.